Welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast, brought to you by Active Management, the world's leading fitness business coaches who in 2015 will help you #grow your business. This is the world's #1 podcast for fitness business owners and managers. We interview real owners and learn what has been working for them to make them so successful. Here's the host of the Fitness Business Podcast, Chantal.
Thanks, Harper. Welcome, everyone, to a very special edition of the Fitness Business Podcast. Now, this one's a little bit different to usual because this week's guest isn't a fitness industry professional. We've decided that every so often, maybe once every 4 to 5 weeks, we're going to chat to someone from outside the industry, someone with experience and credentials that will help you grow your business. Sound okay to you? So before I tell you about today's guest, let me first tell you about what we're going to cover in today's show. We're going to talk about the top 4 things that you must have in your business plan, what you should include when tracking your key performance indicators, what to look for in a good accountant, and our special guest tells us the 4 key areas that you need to manage and focus on if you want to be profitable. How good does that sound? Now let me tell you all about our very special guest for today. Randal Godden is currently the CEO and a chairman of VISTAGE South Africa, and also operates as a strategic management consultant and company director in South Africa and internationally. He has the unusual combination of line management experience, chief executive, chief financial officer, plus strategic consulting and mentoring to clients in a broad range of industries. You will hear Randal mention VISTAGE, which is a coaching and mentoring organisation for CEOs. It involves assisting members to both learn and grow personally, as well as strategically enhancing their businesses. Randal is an active chair in VISTAGE South Africa. Now, Randal also has a business career spanning more than 50 years' experience, which you are going to hear throughout our interview as he shares information that is going to be absolutely priceless to your business and to your career. I've only given you a snippet of Randal's background. He's going to tell you a little bit more. But I can honestly say, not only was I nervous about doing this interview, I was completely blown away by the information that Randal shared, and I know that you guys will be too. As you're going to hear, we had to do the interview with a bit of a combo of internet and phone between Australia and South Africa. So I wanted to take the opportunity to say a very special thanks to our amazing Harper, production extraordinaire, for doing his magic with the audio in this interview. Now, before we launch into the show, don't forget we're in week 3 of our amazing September giveaway, which means you still have a chance to win the Ambit 3 Sport Heart Rate Monitor, thanks to Sunto, Precor and Ama Sports. I'll tell you some more about the prize later on the show, how to enter, so stay tuned for that later on. For now, it is my absolute pleasure to bring you my interview with Randal Godden. Do you want to maybe start by giving everyone just a quick overview about yourself, about VISTAGE, and perhaps a bit of an insight into the work that you do as a strategic management consultant?
I was born and bred, now living in South Africa. Won a scholarship in high school to go to university and did all my university at night. That's coming up through the accounting commerce route. I was a chief financial officer or finance director at 25 and realised I couldn't do that for the rest of my life, having caught the bus, if you like. So I moved over to general management and eventually became chief executive of O'Brien Glass in Australia, which we built over a decade or so from a very small glass merchant doing about 10 million in turnover to 250 million in turnover with 200 branches. And during that period, I worked with a consultant out of the US named Dr. Jerry Faust, who's been instrumental as well in getting Justin to where he is. So I emigrated to San Diego in 92 and joined Jerry as a partner. And then my current wife gave into my charms or whatever, emigrated to South Africa. And then now I do strategic consulting both here in the US, and I have the VISTAGE or tech license for South Africa, which is a mentoring and coaching entity for chief executives and in particular business owners. So that's my very quick and dirty.
So now our listeners will understand why I was nervous. Randal, you have such a broad range of career experience. So when it comes to, let's say, both small and large businesses, what are the most common similarities between them? Do they face the same challenges? Do they make the same mistakes?
Yeah, the similarity with small and large businesses, they operate in the same playing field, the same economy, the same markets. And so as a consequence, they have to do that with comparatively limited resources. And I think it's the resource shift that is the biggest challenge for smaller businesses. And in fact, what traditionally happens is that small business owners start out fundamentally with dreams and aspirations. And then when they start a business, they realise that they're it. And they fundamentally have to do everything. And so the biggest challenge for small business versus large business is that the manager or owner, or whichever title we want, of a small business has to be and fundamentally does things that a corporate manager in that capacity would never even touch.
So they're more of a one-man band.
Exactly, and I guess one of my little homilies is that in businesses, what you delegate effectively and hold people accountable for is great, but what you haven't delegated or held people accountable for gets delegated upwards to you, and that's fundamentally what happens in small businesses.
One of the things that you kind of mentioned is the delegation and even, I guess, outsourcing when need be. How would you suggest maybe a small business owner, because we do have a number of small business owners that listen to the show, Randal, how would you suggest maybe that what's the best way for them to go about identifying what type of external support they need and when they need to delegate?
To be honest, it starts with a business plan. And for any person starting out, or in fact for any person who's running a business, one of the most vital documents is a carefully written business plan. I'm not talking about a 75-page dossier. I'm talking about a 3 or 4 page summary of where the business is going, how it's going to operate, in particular in which markets they'll operate and which markets they won't, and which products and services they'll provide and which they won't. And once that's in place and gives a clear indication of where the business is going, then what you have to do is put together a structure that says these are the people that I need if we're going to achieve this goal or this objective.
Randal, I'm so glad to hear you say the words, not a 75-page business plan, because still to this day I see people writing these extraordinarily long plans that get filed away and never get looked at again. So take that on board, listeners. We're talking about a succinct, I guess, very specific plan that is going to deliver on those things that you mentioned.
There are a whole range of things, Chantel, that you need in a business plan. But as I mentioned, the 4 things for me that are non-negotiable in that circumstance are, 1, very clear direction. Where are we going and what does success look like? And as part of that, as I mentioned earlier, and I think you asked what it was, the market product scope of the business. Which markets and clients will we service? Which ones will we not service? Which products and services will we provide? And which will we not provide? And the nots are at least as important as the wills. Because one of the major mistakes that I see in businesses is that they dabble too much in areas where, frankly, they should never be at all. The extreme version is that I'm running a nylon stockings company, and someone comes along with a proposal to make potato chips, and I spend a lot of time evaluating whether I'll get involved. Right, and they're so poles apart that you should never touch the potato chip business. So that clear direction is the first one. The second one for me is, what are the relationships that should be developed with our external stakeholders? Now, as you know, external stakeholders are suppliers, shareholders, the community, etc. And it's crucial that as part of that business plan, we determine who are the absolute crucial stakeholders that we have to build a strong relationship with, and in many cases in smaller businesses that we have to do so personally. because there's no one else to do it. And then my third one is building that same circumstance with my internal stakeholders. In other words, my management team and the ants, if you like, the people who are going to get the work done, and understand who they are and what's that relationship, and how much of it I want to hire internally, and how much I need to bring in as an outside resource. And then last but not least is keeping score. And the keeping score piece for me is not just the monthly financials. It's those key performance indicators and measures that I put in place on an hourly, daily, weekly basis to tell me where I am and what changes I need to make instantly rather than waiting to the middle of the next month.
Randal, it's a perfect segue to my next question, because those key performance indicators, those key numbers and the financials that you talk about, I'm the first to admit that as a fitness business professional, it's not my favorite thing to do. Numbers and tracking. And I think I can probably speak on behalf of a number of other fitness business professionals. So let me ask you this. What would you recommend we do as fitness business owners to kind of get across those P&Ls, to get across the key performance indicators within our business?
I have I'm going to call it a difficult question that I pose anyone where we're trying to set key performance indicators for their area of responsibility. And it's simply that you as a manager are stranded on a desert island, and 5 minutes a week or a day, you can choose which time frame, you are able to call into your business, and they're going to give you the results of your 5 key indicators, which will enable you to still manage to run the business. Just in that respect, I'm sure that many of your members, clients are sportingly oriented, and although I'm not great at it, I love golf. And if you look at what happens now with golfers, people like Jason Day, compared to Greg Norman in his era, the key performance indicators that Jason Day now uses are 10 times what Greg used to use, right? Because it's now, and bear in mind, I'm talking key performance, so I'm not just talking money indicators. In a lot of cases, I'm talking indicators that measure performance. For example, it might be the number of leads that I get, which I turn into quotes, and the number of quotes that I get that I turn into actual sales or customers. Bear in mind that many of the key performance indicators, particularly I'm going to call it the functional area of the business, are almost certainly going to be all financial.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as fitness business owners, we understand the importance of I guess, tracking those numbers outside of the financials that you talk about, especially when we're looking at client conversion, lead conversion, and those sort of areas. So let me ask you this. Let's say, for example, a fitness business owner has identified their key performance indicators, but they still need that little bit of extra help when it comes to the nuts and bolts of, say, their actual P&L and their financials, that side of the business. Let's say, for example, they were to look at outsourcing an accountant or a financial advisor. What sort of questions would you recommend that they should be asking when they're looking to outsource some of that assistance within their business?
Look, Chantel, and I have to be careful talking about my fellow accountants, but the reality is that 90% of accountants are, in my terms, bees, or if you like, just bookkeepers. They put the numbers into the computer, and when the numbers are printed out, they're finished. And in the majority of cases, to exaggerate that, but not much, most of them have no idea whether the numbers that they've actually produced make sense. The computer said it, so it must be right. And so what I'm looking for when I want some financial advice is someone who can actually, firstly, in my terms, macro the business and the results, and saying, given the size of the business, these are the results that I expect, and if they don't fit in this spectrum, then I don't have the numbers can't be right. That's my starting point, and then from there, what I want is someone who can look through the accounts, and it's like reading a novel or an essay, and it talks to them, and so as a consequence, they can ask questions and give guidance as to where the focus areas in the business should be. And hopefully, my experience is that's the case, that will help guide the manager, the general manager, or whoever he is, to focus on the right areas to get his business back into profitability. Because let's be honest, at the end of the day, that's the goal that all of us are trying to accomplish.
Absolutely. So it sounds to me it's like as you have described, it's not just someone that can plug numbers into the system, it's someone that can actually translate the language of those numbers and what it means to your business.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's fairly relevant to your business, but, the simple circumstance that in every business, there are 4 key areas that you have to manage and focus on if you want to be profitable. Right? One is the volume of sales that you do. Right? In other words, how many transactions, how many personal clients, that's the volume piece. The second piece is what's the price that I should charge to make sure that it's A, market related, and B, that it gives me enough income that I've got a chance to be successful. The third one is what are the direct costs that are going to come out of my business that relate to generating that revenue. That might be personal trainers, it could be equipment that I have to purchase or rent, all those items. And then the fourth area, of course, is other expenses associated with running a business. And I need to be able to manage all 4 of those and make sure I put my focus in the right areas. Out of the 4 elements, our expenses, once we put them in place, tend to be relatively fixed. So when we open the door every day, if our expenses are 500 Rand a day, they're going to be 500 Rand a day. So the area for the majority of businesses, particularly in your industry, to be successful is to focus on how you're going to generate your revenue. And so the real cornerstone for me, and I guess it's part of the marketing plan, which again is a key element of the business plan, so the two are frankly not the same, is who are the customers that I'm going to attract? How many of them can I manage daily, weekly, hourly, whatever? And what's the price that I'm going to charge that's fair to both parties?
Randal, let's dive into that a little bit deeper. Let's talk some more about marketing because I'm keen to get some of your experience on this because we seem to find that, a lot of businesses classify advertising as marketing. And I'm sure, you've come across that. Why do you think they do it and what do you think should be included in marketing of a business?
Well, look, it really is, I guess, the biggest misnomer in business that people believe that the advertising that they see on TV or in newspapers or whatnot is marketing. Mm-hmm. But advertising and promotion is one key but important element of marketing, but it's not the only one. The key responsibility of marketing is twofold. One is it's to determine who are our target customers for the future and how do we attract them, and how do we retain our existing customers satisfactorily for both parties. So it's a much bigger issue than just advertising and promotion.
Absolutely. And let me ask you this. Earlier, you touched on this already. Do you mind explaining to the listeners exactly what is the market product scope?
Again, this is a key part of that marketing plan that I talked about, and to a great extent it's the cornerstone of marketing. And so what's crucial in every business is to understand unequivocally who are the clients that we really want to focus on. And when I'm talking clients, I'm talking clients and markets. And in the market fields particularly, I'm saying, which of the industries or market segments that I want to focus on give me the greatest chance of successful ongoing long-term clients. And depending on the business that you're in your case, the interesting thing for me is your clients probably fit into various age groups. So part of your segmentation will be an age segmentation. And you may be wanting to develop different programs for the 20 to 30s compared to the 50s to 60s, as an example. And similarly, in that circumstance, from an industry segmentation standpoint, yours is a little different to the normal business, but certainly what I'd be thinking about in terms of a health club or a personal trainer's activity is how much of my client base do I expect to get direct? In other words, attracting the consumer themselves. How much do I want to do through clubs, football clubs, associations, whatever? How much do I want to do through businesses? Is there a way that I could develop a business program which was attractive to the employees? Or similarly, is there a way that I could go to a government department and do the same thing? That's the sort of market segmentation that I'm talking about. And then the corollary to that is to say as well, what are the products and services that I now want to present to each of those client groups? And, for example, if I've got older people like me, then I don't necessarily want them to be having to lift 200-kilo barbells.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's making sure that I have a clear format, if you like, of who I'm going to attract and what's the attraction that I'm offering.
And earlier, Randal, you also mentioned the flip side of that being, from what I understand, who is it that you are not interested in servicing or attracting? Is that right?
No, exactly. And for personal trainers, I guess if he or she moves, then they're a target. But, there may be some segments. It could be age groups that you don't want to work with. In particular, the group that you wouldn't want to work with are are you familiar with LSNs?
No. Can you explain that?
No, LSNs are the classification of people fundamentally by wealth or resources.
Right.
And it starts somewhere down around 2 for people who've got nothing,
mm-hmm.
and goes to about 12 for the ultra-rich.
Is that an international scale?
It is.
It's an international scale.
It's every market.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that you may decide that you don't want to work with LSMs 2 to 4 because they can't pay. Just as an example of one of the things that you may want to decide, because let's be honest, one of the big challenges in all of our businesses is that once we provide the service, we expect to get paid and within the terms that we determine. And in the sorts of businesses that we're talking about, that needs to either be in advance or at the time the service is provided.
I truly believe that quite often when we set about writing our business plan and thinking about our target market, we spend a lot of time thinking about who it is that we want to target and who it is that we want to attract, but not a lot of time thinking about, who it is that we don't want to invest in or spend that money in or seek out. So I think that's a really valid point and something for us all to have a think about with our fitness businesses. Now, Randal, I'm going to move straight on to our final question. You've already given us heaps of great information, and that is, what are your top 3 business tips for someone who would want to grow their business?
My 3 are very simple, Chantel. The starting point is to develop an appropriate business plan, of which the marketing plan is absolutely essential. And also, as part of that plan, even though most people don't want to do that, is to measure the financial outcomes of the plan, so that we understand what's required. And then the second piece is to ensure that we can put in place the resources to make the plan come alive. And those resources are usually a number of things, but the 2 key elements, of course, are people and money, and how we're going to fund the business. And then last but not least is select a team of people that gives you the greatest chance of success. And as part of that selection process, and that's a whole different topic, make sure that you understand what are the values that are going to make your business successful and how you want to operate. And as part of that selection process, ensure that the people you're selecting have values that are consistent with that package that you put together for your business.
All 3 of those are absolutely excellent advice, Randal, and thank you so much for that. I want to say just an extra special thank you to Randal because, first of all, I know your time is precious. To give listeners an idea, it's 7:15 a.m. in the morning in South Africa right now, and Randal has made the time to speak to us for the last 30 minutes. So I'm incredibly grateful for your time, for sharing your experience, Randal, and I cannot wait to share this information with the listeners of the Fitness Business Podcast. So thank you once again for your time today.
The Fitness Business Podcast is very appreciative of our podcast partners. Here's a quick word from one of our partners.
Okay, so I'm here today with Ryan Conover, the Director of Fitness of Miramont Lifestyle Fitness. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Thanks for having me.
Now, how about we start off? Do you want to tell us a little bit about your business?
Yes, I work for Miramont Lifestyle Fitness. We're located about an hour north of Denver in Fort Collins. We are currently a 4-health club system. Actually, we just opened our 5th, and we do about $12 million a year in revenue. We're a family fitness center and a full fitness center with tennis, aquatics, pool, personal training, CrossFit areas, and we have about 22,500 members.
Wow, that is huge. And tell us, what did your business look like before you had Tribe Team Training?
We do good business in personal training one-on-one, but still our penetration rate has only been 6 to 7%, like most clubs. And we knew that we were really missing an opportunity with small group training. We were only bringing in $6,000 a month, believe it or not. And we knew there was a lot of opportunity to get people involved in semi-private personal training at a fraction of the cost. And we just weren't doing a very good job before we, adopted the Tribe system.
Okay, so let me ask you this. How long did it actually take you to integrate Tribe into the business and then for you to start seeing the benefits of the program?
The benefits were almost immediate. Tribe did a wonderful job of sending Tim Williams out to train our entire team. And I had to handpick 10 of our best instructors to go through a very rigorous 3-day training. In fact, at the end of the second day, I started to feel sorry for them. But it was great because it was a lot of camaraderie and team building. And then, right after the training, we went right into it. We very closely followed their marketing program. From the marketing online and the social media and all the print, right into the enrollment tables and into the Tribe launch party and the trial week. And the benefits were almost immediate. We launched the program in January of this year with 156 enrollees.
All right. So it sounds like the startup phase, there was a lot of support that you received from Tribe during that phase.
Yeah, very much. Not only the training, but the continual follow-up. The tools that they gave me as a fitness director, came in very handy. I just had, dinner with JP not too long ago, and I said, "Hey guys, thanks for making me look good." Because, they really, they provided all of the tools and the training and made it easy. And when I say easy, I mean, it's definitely hard work and it takes some follow through and following the program, but it's almost a no-brainer if you just follow the plan.
Was there any kind of thing that you found difficult or challenging when you were launching the program?
I was surprised. We did have difficulties with some of the veteran trainers who had been doing small group training on their own, the freestyle boot camp classes.
Yeah.
There was just that resistance to change. And, I met with them one-on-one and in a group setting and just really reinforced the opportunity that we had with Tribe, not only for our members and getting more participation in the program, and the fact that they would make more money down the road. And another challenge that we had, we run it at South, and although it is a large club, we don't have a dedicated area. So we took half the gymnasium and utilized that for the program. So there was a little bit of a balance between maintaining some open court time for the members and running, 30 programs per week of Tribe.
What are 2 tips that you would have for anyone that's listening that might be interested in launching Tribe Team Training within their club?
Some tips I would offer, there is a Tribe head coach. So I made sure that I found a rock star for that position, someone that is really good, has a strong background training, was a great small group training instructor to begin with, had a good marketing background, and was really hungry for the program, choosing 10 of the best people to get involved in the program. And then finally following the program because it's very quick and there's a lot of work to do. And we had to stay on it to meet our launch date.
I want to thank Ryan Conover from Miramont Lifestyle Fitness for sharing his experience about Tribe Team Training. Now, Ryan also told me all about the Tribe launch party and the trial week that they had, both which were a huge success in showcasing the program to members. And he sent me through a few really great photos, which you can check out in this week's show notes, along with all of the contact information for Tribe Team Training. Now, if you can't wait to check out the notes, the websites that you need to look at are tribeteamtraining.com or tribeteamtraining.com.au. As a listener of the Fitness Business Podcast, you can win an Ambit 3 Sport Black heart rate monitor. Let me tell you a little bit about this incredible prize. The desire to be faster is universal. Whether you're pushing your limits on the trail, on your bike, or in the water, the Suunto Ambit 3 Sport GPS watch is your invaluable multi-sport tool to become the best that you can be. Track your running performance and analyze sleep recovery. Use the Suunto Moves Count app to plan your workouts and get voice guidance during your exercise. With the app, you can just adjust the watch on the go and relive and share your experience. Now, don't forget, just head over to the comments section of today's show notes at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Tell us why you love the Fitness Business Podcast. The winner will be drawn next week. That is in show 20. So make sure you tune in when I announce the very lucky winner. Thank you once again to Paul Kelly in Australia, for Suunto, Precor, and AMA Sports, who's donated the Ambit 3 Sport Heart Rate Monitor. Thanks very much, Paul.
It's time for the Fitness Business Podcast wrap.
How incredible was that interview with Randal? There were so many takeaways. I've just summarized a couple of my absolute favorites from that interview. One of the major mistakes Randal told us that businesses make is that they kind of dabble in places that they shouldn't be. So that means that when you're writing your business plan, be sure to consider what you want to do and who your customers are, as well as what not to do and who your customers aren't. Now, when it comes to KPIs, your key performance indicators, they shouldn't just be about money. They might also be about performance. For example, within fitness businesses, we might be looking at things like leads and conversions. A good financial advisor should be able to ask questions and give you guidance as to where the focus in your business should be. It's not just about having someone who is particularly good at Excel spreadsheets. And last but not least, make sure that you select a team of people that give you the greatest chance of success. Now, on next week's show, I talked to you about it earlier, we're going to be giving away the Ambit 3 Sport Heart Rate Monitor to one lucky listener. So don't forget to go to today's show notes. Tell us why you love the Fitness Business Podcast for your chance to win. Also, next week in show 20, we're going to be taking a look back at all the very best advice, information, and tips that we've had from guests over the last 20 shows. Consider it a bit of a highlights reel of the best of the Fitness Business Podcast. Before I say goodbye for today, don't forget, if you haven't done it already, jump on and rate the Fitness Business Podcast on iTunes. Simply head over to iTunes, search for the Fitness Business Podcast, and under the title Ratings and Reviews, click there, give us a star rating, and write a comment. If you've got any suggestions, if you want to have a chat, if you've got any ideas for me, send me an email at chantal@activemgmt.com.au. Or if you've got a question about owning or managing a fitness business, send it on through. We might just feature it in an upcoming show. Now, don't forget one last thing before I go. You can find all of our previous episodes and show notes on fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. It's a very cool website. I hope you guys are checking it out. All of the information that you're after is on there. And until next week, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.
You have been listening to the world's #1 podcast called the Fitness Business Podcast, brought to you by Active Management. We are dedicated to helping your fitness business #grow in 2015. Check out www.activemgmt.com.au for resources, tools, and more to help you. And by far, the best value for you is to become a member. So join today at www.activemgmt.com.au.